There are stories that begin not with victory, but with survival. Stories born in the dark corners of cities, where laughter and pain share the same street. From the echoes of forgotten childhoods to the lights of global stages, every legend starts as a human struggle. In every tear, there is a lesson. In every smile, a revolution. We travel through time, exploring how cultures shape people and how people, in turn, reshape the world. From the dusty streets of London to the neon lights of Tokyo, from forgotten villages to the heart of Hollywood, we search for the spirit that unites us all. These are not just biographies, they are mirrors. Mirrors showing that greatness is not born from comfort, but from courage. And when life takes everything from us, there still remains one thing no one can steal: the power to rise again. Welcome to a journey through the stories of humanity, where pain becomes wisdom and struggle becomes art. This is more than a channel. It's a tribute to resilience, creativity, and the unbreakable spirit of hope. Section 1. Charlie Chaplin, the Child of Shadows. Before the laughter, there was silence. London, in the early 1900s, a city veiled in fog, where the light of joy rarely touched the narrow streets. In the midst of that cold grayness, a small boy wandered, searching not for fame, but for a glimpse of warmth. His name was Charles Spencer Chaplin. He was born into poverty, the son of two music hall performers who had once known applause, but lost it to illness and despair. His father, swallowed by alcohol. His mother, Hannah, trapped in a fragile mind that slowly broke beneath the weight of the world. At the age of 7, Charlie found himself in the harsh embrace of the London streets, sleeping under bridges, performing small acts to earn a piece of bread. For most, this was the end of childhood. For Charlie, it was the beginning of imagination. He watched people, the proud and the poor, the joyful and the broken. He memorized their walks, their laughter, their sorrows. What others saw as misery, he quietly studied as art. Every gesture, every tear, every stumble became part of a story he would one day tell the world. In the darkness of the workhouses and orphanages, a spark remained, the belief that life, even when cruel, could still make room for beauty. Charlie learned that laughter was not the opposite of pain, but its twin, born from the same heart. He didn't yet know it, but the Child of Shadows would one day teach the world to laugh. Section 2. The Birth of the Tramp. The stage was calling, and destiny answered in the voice of a frightened child. One night, when his mother's voice failed her, little Charlie stepped into the spotlight. The crowd watched, expecting disaster, but instead, they witnessed magic. His fear turned into rhythm, his pain into laughter. That night, the boy from the streets became something more, an artist. He had discovered what would become his lifelong truth, that art could transform suffering into meaning. Years later, with nothing but a suitcase and a dream, Chaplin crossed the Atlantic. America, the land of opportunity, yet full of hungry dreamers. He found himself at Keystone Studios, a place where chaos and comedy danced hand in hand. There, the world met the tramp, the little man with the bowler hat, the cane, and the oversized shoes. He was clumsy yet graceful, poor yet proud. His clothes were torn, but his spirit was untouchable. He represented the struggle of every poor man with dignity. In the midst of industrial chaos, machines replacing men, factories devouring dreams, the tramp became a mirror for society. He stumbled, he fell, he rose again, always with a smile. Chaplin wasn't mocking the world, he was healing it. His comedy was resistance disguised as laughter. Every gag, every chase, every tear behind the smile whispered the same truth, that the human spirit could not be broken. From London's workhouses to Hollywood's golden lights, he carried with him the same battered shoes, reminders of where he came from and why he never stopped making people laugh. The Tramp was not just a character. He was hope walking through a broken world. Section 3. The Genius Under Fire. Fame had finally crowned him, but the crown was made of thorns. By the mid-1930s, Charlie Chaplin was not just an actor. He was a symbol. His little tramp had walked into the hearts of millions. Yet the world around him was changing faster than laughter could keep up. The era of silent films was fading. Voices filled the screens, but silence had been his language, the poetry of gestures, the music of expressions. When the world demanded sound, Chaplin chose to listen instead. He responded with Modern Times, a film that spoke without words. It was a mirror held up to the machine age, ears devouring men, speed replacing thought. In his trembling hands on the assembly line, the audience saw themselves, trapped in a world that had traded humanity for efficiency. Chaplin's laughter was no longer innocent. It had teeth, it bit back. His comedy had become protest. Then came the great dictator. In a time when the world trembled under tyranny, Chaplin dared to mock power itself. He created two faces, one of hate, one of hope, and showed that laughter could stand where fear once ruled. In his final speech, the voice of a man who had once lived in silence, he spoke not as a comedian, but as a believer in humanity. He reminded us that progress means nothing without compassion, and that power is hollow without kindness. But courage has a price. His political views, his refusal to conform, made him a target. America, the country that had made him a star, turned its back on him. Accused, misunderstood, and eventually exiled, Chaplin left the land that had once cheered for him. Yet, as he sailed away, he carried no bitterness, only conviction. Because he knew, art that challenges power is never comfortable, but it is eternal. Section 4. The Silent Legacy. In the final chapter of his extraordinary life, Charlie Chaplin found what he had been searching for all along: peace. After decades of laughter, applause, exile, and redemption, he settled in a quiet home on the edge of Lake Geneva in Switzerland. There, far from Hollywood's glare, the greatest comedian the world had ever known lived the simplest of days. He would spend his mornings walking through the garden with his wife Una, the love who never left his side. His children filled the house with laughter, not the laughter of audiences, but of family, of belonging. He often played the violin by the window, lost in melodies that seemed to speak with the same grace as his silent films. He had lived through wars, revolutions, poverty, and fame, a man who made the whole world laugh, even when his own heart was breaking. His journey from the slums of London to the grand stages of Hollywood was more than a story of talent. It was a story of survival, of turning pain into beauty, struggle into art. In the twilight of his years, Chaplin no longer needed to perform. The world had already seen his soul, in the tramp's hopeful eyes, in the awkward dance with bread rolls, in the tears behind a smile. He had given humanity a mirror, and through that mirror, we saw ourselves a little more kindly. His words still echo across time. We think too much and feel too little. That message, spoken in a film made nearly a century ago, feels even more urgent today, in a world where technology connects us, but empathy often fades. Chaplin reminded us that art is not luxury, it's necessity. Laughter is not escape, it's courage. And love, in all its fragile and foolish glory, is what makes life worth living. Even today, his influence lives in every performer who dares to blend humor with heart. From Rowan Atkinson's silent absurdity to Robin Williams's manic tenderness to Jim Carrey's emotional chaos. Each of them carries a spark of Chaplin's defiance, the belief that kindness can still win in a cruel world. And though his voice is gone, his silence remains, not as absence, but as presence. So when life feels heavy and the world seems unkind, remember the little tramp with his bowler hat, his crooked cane, and his unbreakable smile. Because even when life takes everything from you, you still have the power to make someone smile. And in that simple act, you might just save the world again. If this story moved you, I invite you to subscribe to the channel for more real-life stories like this. And don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. Your feelings matter, and your voice deserves to be heard.